I came from the abyss as all instant transportation entities. The abyss is lacking any physical appearance such as gravitation, mass, etc. My entity has no relative density, so I am a manifestation of vision, therefore I became visible via epiphany mechanism. Also I can walk on the sea since I do not have the gravity's barriers. A field of sets is a pair, X, F, where X is a set and F is a Boolean complex. A context, where X, F exist, is a field. Without gravity I can navigate into any field. So I can navigate into a context. The jumping without consequences is occurring when the physical laws have been defeated. Another context, field, which I can navigate onto, is the sky. Sky and humans are in the same context as long as they are matters, even if they are set of fields that correspond to different kinds. My working platform is a field, so I seed grass. All matters are fields. All fields are passable. Brain is a field as it is a matter. I can't traverse through the brain. This is a fabulous phenomenon. The grass has been transfigured into brain cells. Since the grass and the brain are homeopathetic matters, I concede both of them as fields, contexts. Of course, fabulousness is not a matter of go across sea, either, or your viscera. It is about the passing of a tactical space to open fields. Open fields have no directions of organization such as before, behind, above, below, right, left, up and down. Open fields are based on an anisotropic flow. My body and the platform, they can stage interactions between their virtual entities from which properties, tendencies and capacities actually emerge. Their difference will display a tendency to average itself out, want to become the other. To absorb and being absorbed. Waiting for the process to occur. And the voice that I heard from the sky, said to me, "Go and get the book that the angel who exists to the sea as to the earth has in his hands." So I went to the angel and asked him to give me the book. By then, the angel said to me, "Get it and eat it, to bitter your belly and to mellow your mouth as the honey can do." And I take the book from the angel's hands and eat it, enter to my mouth so mellowed as honey, and when it got down to my stomach, my belly chagrined. The book was sweet enough to seduce me and go on with the process of absorption. By the same time it was so bitter into my stomach to provoke me to rap out whatever I have to say. The data entered to my body, platform, as a domestic entry in order to be exported from my system as a vision, in a format of written or visual data. The form of light is built in transparency, where the latest has no fixed limit. The transparent, insofar as it exists in the bodies, and more or less exists at all of them, is what makes them integrate with color, but because the color may be the limit of bodies, it should be at the threshold of the transparency. As an open field, my platform, as well as my body, has the tendency to become the other. Also, as an open field, it is flowing. Fluid dynamics, which deals with fluid flow and motion, liquids and gases, involves calculating properties of fluid, such as velocity, pressure, density and temperature, as functions of space and time. For fluids which are dense to be a continuum and have velocities small in relation to the speed of light, the equation which is nonlinear and described the flow of a fluid may be similar to thermodynamical equations. Because my platform is fluid, it is a liquid. Now it depends on these properties rather than on properties of systematic space and linear time. Besides, these are some of the simulated properties that enabled me to walk in the fields of the sea, of the ether and of the brain. There were two bodies of water in different temperatures. During the absorption their energy will flow from the body with higher temperature to the one with the lower temperature. The flow will continue until the difference in temperature disappears. This is the tendency of one to become the other, which will be operational if they both cancel themselves. Their emergence, subject upon their disappearance, will produce another entity which will be more than a sum of its parts. The mutation of water to wine is a matter of transfer from the outer to the inner state. Water's morality is related to clearance, whereas wine's morality to excess. Additionally, it is not clear enough if it is wine or blood. Anyway, the fabulous does not lie in the transmutation of a matter, water, to a matter, wine, blood, but on their identification, which leads to teleology. The final variable element, water, wine, blood, is converted to a continuum of pathos. Potential energy stored in the bodies or in a system due to their position in a force field or due to their configuration. The potential energy is a function of the state that a system is in, and it is defined relative to that of a particular state. The reference state is not always a real state. It may also be a threshold, such as with the distances between all bodies tending to infinity, provided that the energy involved in tending to that threshold is limited. All bodies can perform a zero-point energy, and according to standard quantum theory, none of this energy can be withdrawn without altering the system to a different form in which the system has a lower zero-point energy. The zero-point elastic energy of my body causes systems constant. Therefore I should stand freezing in time-space, serving as an energetic support, taking the place of a column. As Caryatus, I carry on my head species of variable entities that look like dancing substances. As a column, I had become fossilized in image at a media res stage. Each image, absorbed by me, and absorbed me also, has captured a moment in media res, and where all phenomena whose nature is suddenly to break out, disappear and appear again in another mental stage are presented unified in an unconditional and unchanging duration. And this is not actually to be interpreted as an oblique view, in fact not as a view at all, but rather only as a row of thresholds. An image is to be seen as a row of thresholds. What we call transparent is not a peculiarity of the air or water or of any other body described as such, but a joint force that is inherent in bodies and all other materials. The nature of light presented in transparency, when the latter has no fixed limit. But it is obvious that transparency needs to have a threshold, and from what happens it seems that the threshold is the color. The color itself may be the threshold when it is juxtaposed to light. But because the color is at the threshold, it should be at the threshold of transparent. What produces light in the air can be present in transparency or may not exist, and the body lacks. So the same conditions that produce light and darkness in the air, producing white and black in the bodies. Therefore it is possible for the white and black particles alternate, so that while each of them is invisible, because of their minuscule, their mixed emergence could be visible. Under the theory of particles in juxtaposition, what is to be taken for granted is not only the invisible in materiality but also the non-observable time of their way to integration. Thus, the process of merging is not being perceived by the influx of stimulus. Thus, particles give the impression that it is one mass. But if there is a mix of colors, is not going to happen only by placing the minimum units of particles, not perceivable via stimulus, in juxtaposition, but with complete integration. Capable of mixing is only these that can be divided into their smallest parts, such as humans, horses or grains. Man, for example, is the smallest unit of people and the horse of horses. So when placed alongside one another, the aggregate logos is a fusion of both. For those, however, who cannot be divided into smaller parts, there can be no mixing but complete accumulation. Any entity that is being compared with similarity and difference to anything else that indicates can be called image. There's no ontological limitation. Everything under those conditions can be an image. As imago, I am in the last stage of entity's development, after the last ecdysis of an incomplete metamorphosis, and after the emergence where the metamorphosis is complete. As this is the only stage during which I am sexually mature, I have functional wings. Actually, I am using my complete metamorphosis as my wings. The space of possible solutions overlaps the possibility space associated with the material process. Into this space there are no dimensional perceptions, 2 or 3-dimensional matters, no FOVs, no perspective and horizon. Wings are functional for the fall of any dimension, rather than for an angel-like take off.